Why they come back after hurting you. When someone hurts you and then comes back, it can be a perplexing and emotionally charged experience. Their return often stirs a mix of emotions: confusion, hope, anger, or even frustration. Understanding why someone chooses to reappear after causing pain is crucial for processing the situation and deciding how to respond. People may come back for various reasons, often driven by guilt, a desire for closure, or even selfish motives like loneliness or a need for validation. Others might genuinely seek to make amends and rebuild the relationship. However, their intentions don't always align with what's best for you, and it's essential to assess the situation with clarity and caution. This phenomenon highlights the complexities of human behavior and relationships, where emotions, attachments, and personal insecurities often intertwine. By exploring the possible reasons behind their actions, you can better understand their motives and protect your emotional well-being while deciding the best path forward. Chapter 2. The emotional pull. When someone comes back after hurting you, one of the most common reasons is the emotional pull created by the bond you once shared. Relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or familial, often leave a lasting imprint on both individuals. Even after a conflict or separation, the emotional connection doesn't disappear instantly. The person who caused the hurt might feel drawn to revisit the relationship because of nostalgia, shared memories, or the comfort they once found in your presence. This pull can be especially strong if the relationship had significant meaning to them, as they may realize what they lost after the initial fallout. On a deeper level, emotions like love, attachment, or even dependency can create a subconscious desire to return. People often underestimate the power of familiarity. It provides a sense of security and stability, even if the relationship itself was flawed. When life becomes uncertain or they face challenges, they might gravitate back to someone who once provided emotional support or validation. The emotional pull isn't always rational. It's a mix of lingering feelings and a longing to recapture what once was. However, it's important to recognize that the emotional pull doesn't always mean their intentions are pure or that the relationship is healthy to resume. Their return could be more about fulfilling their own emotional needs than about addressing the harm they caused. It's crucial to evaluate whether their presence in your life will truly benefit you, or whether they are acting on impulse without genuine regard for your well-being. Recognizing this dynamic helps you make informed decisions about whether to welcome them back or set boundaries to protect yourself. Chapter 3. Guilt and regret. Guilt and regret are powerful motivators that can drive someone to return after causing you pain. When people hurt others, they often experience a sense of unease or remorse, especially if they realize the consequences of their actions. This guilt can weigh heavily on them, prompting an attempt to reconcile or apologize. For some, returning is an effort to seek forgiveness and alleviate the burden of knowing they caused harm. They may genuinely want to make things right and demonstrate that they've reflected on their behavior. However, not all guilt-driven returns are selfless or entirely sincere. Some individuals seek to relieve their own discomfort rather than address the damage they caused. Their apology or attempt to reconnect may be more about making themselves feel better than genuinely repairing the relationship. This is often referred to as self-serving guilt, where the focus is on their emotional relief rather than your healing. In such cases, their return might feel hollow or insincere, as it centers on their need for absolution rather than a real commitment to change. It's also worth noting that regret isn't always followed by action or meaningful change. While they may express sorrow for their behavior, it doesn't necessarily mean they've grown or that the relationship will improve. It's important to assess whether their regret is accompanied by accountability and a willingness to address the underlying issues. Genuine regret is often marked by consistent actions to rebuild trust and show that they value the relationship. Recognizing the difference between genuine remorse and surface-level guilt can help you decide how to respond and whether to re-engage with the person. Chapter 4. Loneliness and Validation. Loneliness is a powerful force that can compel someone to return after hurting you. When people feel isolated or disconnected, they often seek comfort in familiar relationships, even if those relationships were damaged by their actions. This longing for companionship or connection might lead them to reach out, especially if they believe you'll offer the same support or understanding as before. In these situations, their return may stem more from their desire to fill a void in their life than from a genuine desire to mend the relationship. Another common motivator is the need for validation. People often seek out those who made them feel valued or important, especially if they're experiencing a period of insecurity or low self-esteem. They might return to you to reclaim the sense of worth they felt during the relationship, whether consciously or unconsciously. This behavior can sometimes be selfish, as it prioritizes their emotional needs over the hurt they caused you. It's important to recognize when their return is more about seeking affirmation rather than addressing the harm they inflicted. While loneliness and validation might explain why someone comes back, it doesn't necessarily mean they've reflected on their behavior or are ready to take accountability. Their actions could be a temporary response to their emotional state rather than a commitment to rebuilding trust or repairing the relationship. It's crucial to evaluate whether their return is motivated by genuine care for you or by their personal need for comfort. Setting boundaries and prioritizing your well-being will help you navigate their reappearance with clarity and confidence. Chapter 5. Unfinished business. Unfinished business is a significant reason why someone might return after hurting you. Emotional relationships often leave loose ends, especially if the separation or conflict occurred suddenly or without clear resolution. These unresolved issues can linger in a person's mind, creating a sense of incompleteness that compels them to come back. They may seek answers to questions that were left unspoken, attempt to clarify misunderstandings, or feel a need to express feelings they withheld previously. This need for closure can be a driving force behind their return, as it allows them to process the situation and move forward. Sometimes their return may also stem from a desire to address guilt or regret tied to the unresolved nature of the relationship. They might feel compelled to explain their actions, apologize, or seek forgiveness to ease their conscience. Alternatively, they could be looking for validation that their actions or decisions were justified. In this sense, their return isn't necessarily about repairing the relationship, but about finding personal peace or making sense of what happened. While this may bring clarity for them, it's essential to recognize whether addressing this unfinished business benefits you or only reopens old wounds. Unfinished business can also create an illusion of hope for reconciliation. The person who hurt you may not intend to truly rebuild the relationship, but may instead be grappling with their own unresolved emotions. For you, this can be emotionally confusing, especially if their return stirs up old feelings. It's vital to assess whether addressing the unresolved issues will help you heal or if it will prolong your pain. Ultimately, closure is not something you owe to anyone, and you have the right to prioritize your emotional well-being above their need for resolution. Chapter 6. Control or manipulation. Sometimes a person returns after hurting you because they want to regain a sense of control or influence over your life. This behavior often stems from insecurity, a fear of losing their grip on the relationship, or a desire to reassert dominance. By coming back, They may aim to test whether they still have access to your time, attention, or emotions. This need for control can be subtle, disguised as concern or affection, but it often reflects a self-centered desire to keep you tethered to them. In some cases, their actions may cross the line into manipulation. They might use guilt, flattery, or emotional tactics to draw you back into the relationship without genuinely addressing the harm they caused. For example, they may downplay their past behavior, shift the blame onto you, or promise change without taking meaningful steps to improve. Manipulative individuals often seek to exploit your empathy or vulnerabilities, making it crucial to recognize these red flags. Their return is less about reconciliation and more about serving their own needs, whether it's for attention, validation, or control. Understanding the motives behind control or manipulation can help you protect yourself. It's important to evaluate whether their actions are aligned with genuine care for you or are part of a pattern of self-serving behavior. Chapter 7. The impact on you. When someone comes back after hurting you, it can have a profound impact on your emotional and mental well-being. Their return might stir up unresolved feelings, ranging from hope and longing to anger and confusion. You may find yourself questioning their motives, revisiting the pain they caused, or wondering whether giving them another chance is the right decision. This emotional turmoil can be exhausting, especially if you're still in the process of healing from the initial hurt. Recognizing how their return affects you emotionally is the first step toward navigating the situation in a way that prioritizes your well-being. Their return can also challenge your sense of boundaries and self-worth. If they come back without addressing the harm they caused or showing genuine change, it can feel like they're undermining your healing process. You may struggle with feelings of obligation, guilt, or fear of confrontation, especially if they attempt to rekindle the relationship without taking accountability. This can lead to a cycle where the hurt is repeated, leaving you feeling stuck or drained. Understanding that you have the right to protect your peace and enforce boundaries is crucial in maintaining your emotional health. Ultimately, how you respond to their return will shape your path forward. This is an opportunity for self-reflection and growth, considering what you truly want and need from the situation. It's important to evaluate whether their presence in your life aligns with your goals for healing and happiness. You deserve relationships that are built on trust, respect, and mutual care. By focusing on your own emotional well-being and setting clear boundaries, you can take control of the narrative and decide whether their return is something you want to welcome or leave behind. Chapter 8. What you should do. When someone comes back after hurting you, deciding how to respond requires careful thought and self-awareness. The first step is to take a moment to assess your emotions and the situation. It's natural to feel a mix of curiosity, frustration, or even hope when they reach out. However, it's crucial to reflect on their past actions and whether their return aligns with your personal boundaries and emotional well-being. Ask yourself what you truly want, whether it's closure, reconciliation, or simply to move on, and let that guide your response. It's also important to evaluate their intentions and behavior. Are they taking accountability for their actions, or do they seem more focused on their own needs? Genuine effort to make amends is usually accompanied by honest communication, sincere apologies, and consistent actions that show they've changed. On the other hand, if their return feels manipulative, rushed, or self-serving, it's a sign that they may not have your best interests at heart. Trust your instincts and don't hesitate to ask direct questions about why they've come back. Their response can help you gauge their sincerity. Finally, prioritize your own well-being and set clear boundaries. If you choose to engage with them, establish the terms of your interaction, whether that means addressing unresolved issues or limiting contact. If you decide not to let them back into your life, know that this is a valid and healthy choice. Remember, your healing and peace of mind are more important than pleasing someone who caused you pain. By staying grounded in your self-worth and making decisions that honor your needs, you can navigate their return with strength and clarity. Conclusion. Understanding why someone comes back after hurting you is crucial for navigating the emotional complexities of their return. Whether driven by guilt, loneliness, a need for closure, or even manipulative tendencies, their reasons often reflect more about their personal state than the relationship itself. While some may genuinely seek to make amends, others may return out of self-serving motives, leaving you to evaluate their intentions with care. Ultimately, their return can be an opportunity for self-reflection and growth. It's a chance to assess what you truly want, set boundaries, and prioritize your emotional well-being. Remember, you are not obligated to reopen a door they once closed with hurt. Healing and moving forward should remain your focus, whether or not they play a role in your journey. In the end, the power to decide lies with you. By understanding their motives, recognizing the impact on yourself, and making decisions that align with your values, you can turn their return into a moment of empowerment. Trust yourself, protect your peace, and choose what brings you closer to happiness and fulfillment.